Come here now, girl.
So a quick apology and heads up before we get started with today's show. Having completed recording, I have noticed that I've recorded the entire show with Theme Mixer active, which means that we have preloaded themes which do not match the map. The map still looks pretty good in the review, but what I'll do is right at the end of the show, before we cut to the closing credits, I'll show you a quick once over of how the map should actually look with the correct theme set. Hello and welcome to What's Map, your one-stop shop for everything workshop. I'm BonBonB and you're very, very welcome. Well, it's Monday, it's the start of a new week, so we are right back to the top of the workshop looking at the second most top performing map of the moment because of reasons. So yeah, this one, Lumpybumpyshire, is almost like something that I would say. Lumpy Bumpy. I get pulled up on it. And Jinky Janky. But one thing I wouldn't say is...
It's my first map.
I would leave that to somebody else. Yes, it's a first map occasion, and you know what? As first maps go, this is one of the better ones, so I think you'll enjoy it. And if you're going to enjoy it, there's only two things that you can do to show it. And that's right, hitting the like button and the notification bell are those two things. So thanks for joining and being part of the crew. Today's map, Lumpybumpyshire, by dolomitedave. Dolomite Dave, are you from the Dolomites? If you are, bonjour. No, that's Spanish, isn't it? This is your start square. I think there's plenty of room to build in there. Road, rail and water. Yeah, all good to go. The terrain heights, it's an interesting map. Interesting in a positive way, I suggest, actually. Resources are a little bit light and patchy, but they are there and they are usable, so nothing really to mark down. And if you have Sunset Harbour and you want to do some fishing, you have everything. How about that? Off to the workshop. What do we need? Well, no DLC required today, but there are a small list of requirements. There is a one-click collection. We'll take that in a moment. We'll be using the Woodland 4K theme and the Clara LUT. There's also a shout out to BonBonB for inspiring me to share my first map. Oh, I'm an inspiration, it's official. Yeah, intersection marking tool is also being used today, and if you haven't seen my tutorial which went up last night, I now have a tutorial which went up last night for the intersection marking tool along with the node controller mod as well. I'll try to remember to link that at the end of today's show. Right, so green and pleasant land, tick like that. In fact, there's a lot to like about today's map. There are, of course, a few teething errors because it's the first map. There are going to be a few minor things here and there, but there's more to like than there is to not like. In fact, there's a lot more to like than there is to not like. So I think credit has to be given there. Let's start off with little detailing things like here. We don't actually have any water down here, but you would imagine it'd be quite a damp, soggy kind of area. Like here as well, with all the reeds and and there's a bit of water up there as well. So yes, I would say little things like that are little things that I need to try and remember myself. Because guess who's starting making their first map for a while? Hello, my hand's in the air. Oh, hang on, not about me today. We've got a couple of laybys here. So you can stop and have a picnic. Not that you'd really want to have a picnic alongside the highway, but certainly jump out and find a tree to pee behind. Although having a picnic on this side of the road would be a lot more pleasing, I feel. Quite a nice little view there, actually. Now, in terms of extra detailing score, I think here is a nice little idea. Have a look at this. This looks like a realistic rockfall. Works so well. The rocks do kind of match the theme rocks, so credit there. And of course the wall here to protect the road from rockfall. I like this. I think it might be a little bit overdone, just a little bit overdone in terms of the wall and where it's been placed. Would they have built a wall all the way down and all the way up? I don't know, but I do know that it's an attention to detail and credit needs to be given. Anyway, yes, this is a pleasing, for me, it's a pleasing map. It's a break from some of the maps we've had lately with all the encroaching foliage. You've got a little bit that's trying to encroach, but it was only on the gravel on the edge of the road, and that is fine by me. It also has, like I say, a few ideas, and I'm now starting to make little notes of just not major things, but minor things, like here, retaining wall along here. Is this really a thing that we absolutely need down this far? Don't know. Well, do know, I would say no. Elevated section here. The roads are smooth. The roads are very smooth. The elevations are about in the right places as well, so kudos for that. And we get our first glance at the intersection marking tool. Now, this isn't bad. This is not bad. It does janky a little bit to the right there. Jankies to the right, jinkies to the left. I'm going to use the node controller mod. This is a very quick fix. We'll be using a different version later on, or a different system later on for, hang on, let me just get the node controller mod. The there it is. Node controller mod. I'm just going to stretch the offsets there. And it's still jankies to the right, but it's a lot smoother. But yes, a little bit later on in today's show, we'll have a look at a different intersection or a different merge where we'll be using Move It, just to show you a different way of fixing something like that. Start square intersection, very nice, very loopy. Got chevrons, and we have more chevrons. And then we have a solid section here. I'm not quite sure why that isn't chevrons. But there may be many reasons why it's not chevrons. And there's your start square over there as well, which we'll look at a bit later on. Dropping back down to the highways. So yes, intersection marking tool in operation. That's a good thing to see. People are actually jumping on board and actually using it. And like I say, I do certainly feel that today's use of the intersection marking tool is a step up from the previous map, which was, again, it was good to see and it wasn't bad. But I feel a little bit more time. Nice bridge. Not an exceptional one, but certainly a nice one. I'm okay with it. And yeah, I think this is definitely a step in the right direction in terms of the mod usage. Next intersection here is got some very nice loops on it. And I wonder about this second road down there. And let me show you. Let me show you here. So if you're coming under here, there's two roads taking the same route. The one on the left is the highway. The one on the right is is that a lay-by? Would you pull in for a P there? I don't know. I don't know what that's about. Somebody explain. Ah, here's the intersection we knew, or the lane merge I'm going to show you. Right, we're going to use Move It this time. Admittedly, I'm going to be breaking everything to make this work. Okay? So we're going to move that forward, and we're going to put a little bend into the road here, and a little bend into the road there. Right, so see how they merge much more smooth. I've broken all everything else, like jinky jankies over there. That road. So you're going to need to employ a little bit of planning around how you're going to merge your lanes if you're going to use that Move It system. But a combination of Move It and the node controller will enable you to have lane merges which aren't jinky nor janky. Which way are we going? We're going this way. Well, we came from that way. We don't want to go that way again. You've seen that way. Let's go this way. Okay, right. So nice, smooth, elevated bridge crossing a lot of environment, including the rail. I like the way that the rail has been run along underneath the higher crossing there as well. So that is just neat little touch. Something like that, a lesser creator would have just missed. And also the way that the trees run across the road there, certainly not through the roads, none in the road, but the way the trees kind of lined the road while crossing across the tree line was very neat indeed. And it's certainly something, once I actually get into the guts of my map, and it's going to take me months. Don't go expecting a map this side of Easter. It's not going to happen. But yeah, so anyway, the roads go off to the into the distance. The rail has got a couple of nice touches here. First of all, no catenary chaos, so there is credit there. But I think the rail is missing a trick. While it's good, I would actually rephrase this, while it's very good, it has a trick that I think would have just scored it an extra point. Let me show you. So first of all, up here we have a quarry, and we have a siding here by the quarry. So you can imagine a bit of industry going on here, where they're loading up the trains with ore or whatever they are mining out of the quarry there. Now you can probably make out in the distance we have an industrial area going on up here. This industrial area, obviously it's abandoned. You'll see it looks abandoned. We've got sidings which look abandoned. A lot of credit going on here as well. In fact, I would say particularly good use of everybody's favourite factories right there indeed. Again, that looks very nice indeed. So the ore gets brought down here to these factories, where the factories do something with it and make a lot of dust, which is what appears to be going on there. And the rail carries on off that way. But why couldn't we have had a siding coming off this way, heading down to this we've got a little cove down here. Now, if you make this a deep water cove and put some harbour walls around it, we've even got some rocks scattered around to make it look like the rocks could have been dropped off. That could have been export of the ore that's been dealt with in the factories. I think a little thing like that, it just adds a bit of extra story to the map. The map has already got story. That would have added just a little bit of an extra dimension that most people wouldn't have even thought about. And then there's a few people that would have gone, I like this idea, and I'm one of them people. Anyway, following the rail, we got a neat little transition from ground to rail across the water, back down to ground level. It's really smooth, and all credit for that. And another, we've got a junction there that heads off the other direction. That does basically what you're going to see here. It just goes the longer distance to the other side of the map. We don't really need to see that. We can now just head off down towards the edge of the map this way. So anyway, as I say, this map has got a lot of good things going for it. There are one or three things that I would say a missed opportunity there with the rail, and one or two things we'll see on the opposite side of the intermission, mostly including water. Again, the water isn't a travesty on this map. Don't be thinking this is going to be the worst water. It's not. The water is good, has a little bit of tweaking that needs doing to it, just tweaking. We'll get to that. And then, because we're going to have a little bit of water tweaking, I feel that some of you who haven't seen the water tutorial, excuse me, would appreciate a little glass of water actually right now. I'll do that while the tutorial intermission is coming up. See you in a moment.
Are you struggling with water physics in the game? Are you constantly drowning and flooding your soggy little sins? Then you need the Beginner's Guide to Water Physics by BonBonB. Click the information button now.
Oh, that's better. Sorry. Water has been sorted. Okay, shipping routes. We have a little one that comes into the edge of the route there from Lumpybumpyshire by dolomitedave. And then we have another one over here, which is fine actually. It just follows the edge of the coast a sensible distance away. Doesn't try to do anything clever. And it works absolutely fine. All credit for that one. Now, water flow. This is the main river. And you can see we seem to have a bit of a lumpy bumpy on the water there. Yes, I get to use the word lumpy bumpy on the lumpy bumpy map. And the water is being sourced from this lake. Now the lake, this is the start square, and the start square water flow is along this edge, and it's a little bit, by his own admission, a little bit light along here in terms of water flow. So I think that's something that can be fixed quite easily, and I will show you that a little bit further on. Overall, I like the overall shape of the map. It is somewhere between realistic and fantasy. I would go so far to say it's more fantasy than realism, but it's a close run thing. I'm liking the design though here. Like we've got, this is all start square extension, and it just really encourages you to make a non-grid city and do something a bit different. And again, around here, potential start area around here, it's all cleared. It's inviting you to build in different directions. I like maps that actually don't tell you that you've got to build that way, but they invite you to. It's a little nod, and I like that. It's a really good theme that I used in my St. Catherine's Point map as part of the theme mix. The water though is a little bit blue, and it's just a thing for me. I just find it a little bit blue. I'd choose something. I'm mixing something a little bit less drastic. That's just me, anyway. We've got, of course you can do that without the map maker's permission as well. It's just a thing. We have the Essential Lighthouse in the Tri-Lighthouse area. Plopped one there. I think it's okay. I wouldn't say it's not inspirational. I would say probably not necessary there. Possibly one up here might be necessary. But yeah, again, it's just a little nod. I think these have been put in more for my entertainment than for the actual map's benefit. This one down here as well. So the Tri-Lighthouse area. What more have we got going on with today's map? Well, there's still a few... Oh, the river. Okay, so this is the main river. You can see it's not stupidly lumpy bumpy, but there are, like here, got a little ridge of water going on here, and so on. And if we were to pull back the camera and then speed run it just for a few moments, we can see whether this is a starter map water flow or whether this is going to be a continuous thing. So let me just settle the camera up here, turn the speed of the game up a bit, and you can see it's ongoing. It's not crazy, but just little every now and then you just get a little bit of a ripple coming down, and it's something that kind of needs to be fixed. If just for a smooth map, really. A smooth map on the lumpy bumpy map. What more have we got? Oh yeah, I did say about this lake and water flow. Well, now you've seen my water physics tutorial. If you're putting a second spawn point over here, now admittedly I put this one in which has broken the river completely, but more cleverly than me just throwing down a big old spawn point there, which I'll just get rid of, then that would be a way of actually getting movement in the start square. And speaking of start squares, we have an asset of the day in the start square, of course we do. It's the Yankee Stadium, New York, Major League Baseball by Luminou. Yankee Stadium. The Yankee Stadium. Even I knew that was in New York. Even I knew that. And factoids, because factoids, we'll get this out of the way, because there's things to talk about with this stadium. We've got the author of Gulliver's Travels, Jonathan Swift, once took a vow of silence for a whole year. I remember doing a sponsored silence at school when I was about 10. I'm sure it was the teacher's idea actually to do a sponsored silence. They were probably rubbing their hands with glee when we all went, yeah, it's a good idea, sir. I think it was a miss actually. It's a good idea, miss. Sirens, tick that off your bingo. Okay, Major League Baseball. Now I don't know much about baseball, but I suspect that these two poles over here are so that the umpires can see if the ball is in or out of bounds if it's hit down this line. I think that makes sense to me. I also understand isn't there a pitcher's mound? So down here, this should be possibly elevated a little bit. It's not. I don't think it matters. Nobody's going to care that much. But yes, and then you throw the ball in and they hit it, and people run. Yeah, sounds like a thing. Oh, I've got ads as well. We've got some really good work on the workshop at the moment. Yankee Stadium, New York, Major League Baseball by Luminou. Today's asset of the day. Now, if you're wondering how well I did with the sponsored silence, I was doing very well until lunchtime, where we stepped outside and it been raining and I didn't expect it and I went, oh, it's wet. I remember those words. All these years later, remember those exact words. Anyway, your chance to vote on this map. Is it a 1-star map? Is it a 5-star map? Is it somewhere in between? Your vote really does count. We use it at the end of the month for the Viewer's Choice Top 10. Will this be one of the top 10 maps of the month? Only you can decide. And last month's top 10 is now on the channel. I must link this one in as well at some point. So many things to link in for you guys. But what do I think of today's map? Well, aesthetically, I think it's strong. I think it's got some good design. I don't know. It's touch and go for me. Is this a high 3 or a low 4? I don't know that I can really, because I'm going to say the same with the detailing. I don't really feel I can give them both 4 stars or both 3 stars. So what I'm going to do is I think I prefer some of the ideas in the detailing. So I'm going to go for a high 3 stars for aesthetics. But then when we go into detailing, I think there's a lot of nice ideas with the detailing. I don't think it's supremely polished, but I think I'm going to give this one a low 4 to balance the high 3. There we are. I think that's about fair. Gameplay potential, I think this is very playable. I think the water just needs a little bit of fixing. Other than that, it's really strong. And so I'm going to go 4 stars. I'm going to go just slightly under middle 4 just because of the water flow. Right, okay, so we've made it to the end of the show. I gave this map 3 for aesthetics, 4 for detail, 4 for gameplay potential. let's see whether we can push that aesthetic score up just a little bit. Let's come down here, have a look at one of those things, the sections which I thought stood out for me, which included the rockfall down here with the retaining wall. I think this definitely looks a lot better. I thought the rocks matched really well with the previous theme. I think they match perfectly with this theme, so credit for that one. Let's go and take a look at I haven't had a look at the coast. Let's have a look at the coast. The coast is no different. We haven't gone with any strong sand type beach affairs, although pretty sure I saw some sand on the thumbnails. Maybe I'm going a bit crazy. Down here, I don't feel there's too much of a difference with the. I mean, there is a difference, but it's not a striking difference. Let's go down to the start square. Where was the start square? Start square is down here because this is going to be very important when you actually start. Hang on, that's not the one. Hang on, pull back. There we go. This is the wrong little road in. Found it. So this is the road that leads into the start square. I think aesthetically this is actually a little bit nicer. I am going to credit the extra 1 star. Just going to nudge over the aesthetics to 4 stars for this map. I think it just does it. You know, I think it just does it. Excellent. So there we go. Apologies for recording the map. I would have re-recorded the episode, but it was 3.5 hours of my time already, and this is added time that I haven't actually included. So yes, yeah, my apologies. Oops. Back to me. Lumpybumpyshire by dolomitedave. I really think that this creator has got something coming for us in the future. I mean, something that's going to make us stop and wow. Because that is a really strong map. That, for a first map, is a good map. Even not for a first map, that is a good map. It's got some really nice ideas, and I just like the way the map invites you to want to play into it, and there's a lot of credit to be given for that. Anyway, if you're still here, you're part of the 20 and out elite. You use the word of the day.
I don't know how to help with that.
I didn't ask you.
Other things you can try.
Did I say anything to do with the G word?